himself.
It's a political witch hunt. Everybody's like, well, don't you hate that all of the GOP funding is going to pay Trump's legal bills? No, I'm not. I'll help pay his legal bills.
How did you feel when he was arrested?
Oh, that locked in my vote. I was like, there we go.
Yep.
I'm voting for him.
I want the T-shirt. I got the mug.
I have the hat.
The mug shirt.
That locked in your vote.
Absolutely.
I would hope that if, he's exonerated, then everybody accepts that. I hope that if, some things in different places are proven true, then people will accept that.
Mm-hmm. What I'm seeing is the narrative is he's bad. We're just going to keep throwing things at him. He's bad, he's bad, he's bad. So the public needs to believe he's bad, and this is the narrative we're going to throw at you.
Weird. A bunch of white women from South Carolina told CNN that Trump's criminal background is what solidified their support for him, even though he said it was the other way around.
And then I got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against.
It's just another racist generalization to keep his supporters believing that the loads of criminal charges he's facing is a good thing, even though he calls it unfair all the time. It never has to make any sense because he works on the stupidity and gullibility of MAGA so regularly, he and his yes men turn his clear case of stealing and hiding classified documents into a right that only he has.
A big part of this is that President Biden went and sat down with them for 2 days, over the course of 2 days. Obviously, that's the interview that you're talking about, where they talked about his age. Donald Trump hasn't cooperated. Don't you just think if he had cooperated, he could be in the same situation?
This is at the behest of Joe Biden.
But if he had cooperated, don't you think he could be in the same situation?
First of all, there is a difference here.
Biden?
President Trump has, according to the Presidential Records Act, he has declassification authorities. Joe Biden does not have that when he was Vice President of the United States. Joe Biden also had classified documents when he was a sitting senator. That is not covered by the Presidential Records Act. So to say...
I've read the Presidential Records Act. It also doesn't give Trump the authority to just take documents and keep them in a ballroom.
This was a raid on Mar-a-Lago, Caitlin, versus working with Joe Biden and saying he willfully broke the law but refusing to prosecute.
But
it
that's
is selective prosecution.
That's my point, because Trump did not hand over the documents for more than a year. Jim Trusty could tell you that.
From the DOJ, from Joe.
Elise Stefanik thinks that talking over facts and ignoring the points that dismantle her argument is a convincing tactic when trying to defend Trump's blatant disrespect for the law. Trump didn't declassify documents. He falsely claimed he could do that anytime he wants, after authorities discovered loads of classified documents in his house, which he lied about returning multiple times. Because to this day, he thinks they belong to him.
Why didn't you just hand them over when they were requested, though? I mean, they requested them. You could have just handed them over. It probably saved yourself a lot of trouble.
First of all, I didn't have to hand them over. But second of all, I would have done that. We were talking, and then all of a sudden they raided Mar-a-Lago. Do you remember? They said, could you put an extra lock on the door? We showed them where they were. We showed them. Unlike being under a Corvette in a little garage with the door open all the time, we had these things locked. We were surrounded all the time by many Secret Service agents. We had Secret Service all over Mar-a-Lago. You couldn't take anything out.
He said, I didn't have to hand them over. He declares that he's above the law every time he opens his mouth about the consequences that he's facing. He points out he had Secret Service and locked doors to the bathroom and closets that he hid the contraband in, so no one could take anything out. But most people aren't simply concerned with who could have taken them, but with the former president, who's been proven to be extremely dishonest and beholden to shifty characters, sharing whatever he wants with whomever he wants. Again, he really thinks he decides what's legal and illegal in this country. And he's got more help from barking conservatives eager to kneel at his feet.
Kristen, let me push back a little bit. You have to acknowledge the fact that now that the Robert Hur report has come out about Joe Biden's misuse of classified information, which is a violation of the Espionage Act, he had no rights to any of those documents when he was a senator or vice president, yet there are no charges against President Biden. But President Trump is under prosecution. Come on now. We know that doesn't make any sense.
Hit the pause button for 1 minute, Congressman, because the Hur report was very clear that there was not enough evidence to bring charges against President Biden, and that ultimately there was not enough. That is what the Hur report said. Congressman, that is exactly what the Hur report said. Yes, it is. It said that there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough evidence to bring charges.
You cannot possess those documents as a senator or a vice president. You have no right to those documents as a senator or a vice president. They must remain in a secure facility. Joe Biden took them from a SCIF. That's a violation of the Espionage Act, period.